Church shootings happen all the time, and unfortunately, they're not the kind of incident that the media is interested in covering very much because it doesn't really support their narrative. But Bible-believing churches like your church and like my church, we probably do need to think about these things, unfortunately, even though it's a dark topic, so as that we can protect ourselves in the case that these kinds of things should take place locally. What I want to do is I want to show you a video here. It's a little bit tough to watch, but this happened not too far from here in a Pittsburgh area church. The pastor is preaching. A gunman lifts up a weapon. Whether the gun fails to discharge or whether the shooter does not pull the trigger, I don't know. Thankfully, an elder or a deacon or a security team member jumps up and is quickly on the spot to help to disarm this man. The pastor gets involved in the situation as well. It's really rather terrifying to think about the possibility that this could actually happen. But after the Nashville shooting took place some months ago, our church, Gospel Fellowship PCA, we started to think a lot more about what we should do to prepare ourselves to prevent or to react more quickly in the case that this would happen. So in this video, what I want to do is I want to share with you just 4 or 5 things really quickly that I think would be very wise for us to think about. And then I want to make a book recommendation for this little booklet here, A Place to Hide by my friend Christian McShaffrey, who wrote this book especially for women so that they can respond in the case of this kind of an incident. Now, Gospel Fellowship, what we did is, first of all, we consulted a lawyer. We have an ecclesiastical lawyer who helps us with all kinds of different policies and procedures related to our building and our facility and other things, our building and grounds and whatnot. And thankfully, this ecclesiastical lawyer has a military background, and so he was able to give us a panoply of information that would help us to protect ourselves, because one of the threats is, of course, physical violence, but another threat is, of course, civil litigation in case you actually did respond. So how best to protect yourself legally in the case of an incident. Not only that, but we took a couple of steps to protect the building itself. Now, remember what happened in Nashville. The transgender shooter shot out the glass and then simply marched through into the building indiscriminately, firing upon even the young ones. Well, there is a substance that you can buy for glass doors, though not entirely bulletproof. It is nevertheless very helpful because it stops the glass from falling out, and therefore it makes an intrusion less easy, makes it more difficult to do, and therefore giving your security team more time to react. Not only that, then, but we also did some drills. We did some live training drills here at Gospel Fellowship, 2 different kinds. First, we did a stopping an assailant type of drill. We actually consulted local law enforcement, and we ran drills similar to this so that our security team would be able to respond more quickly. And then not only that, but we also did a Stop the Bleed seminar, in which case, if somebody was actually shot, how to respond very quickly in terms of a medical response. So those 2 kinds of seminars, we did them on Wednesday nights. A lot of people came out, and we got our church trained in order to be able to react more quickly. Speaking of security team, if you don't have one, it's probably a good idea to have some kind of a security team. So talk to your elders or your deacons, and you're definitely going to want to put something like that together if possible. And then finally, for myself, I did make the decision to carry a personal protection device much more often. Now, I'm going to be careful the way I say that because of the YouTube censors out there, but you kind of know what I mean when I say I'm going to carry a personal protective device. And if you choose to do that, you're definitely going to want to get a lot of training for that. Now, if the technology works out here, I want to show you a video, if I can, related to this book from my friend Christian McShaffrey. They have a nice little promotional video here, and let's just go ahead and run that clip if possible. Let's get the sound
The children are
up,
playing,
and let's make
you
sure you can see
are
it.
relaxing, and then if you have never pondered the question, what would I do in such a situation, then you are simply not prepared. Written specifically for moms, A Place to Hide is intended to equip you to survive a public shooting. Topics covered include situational awareness, mental condition, the flight or fight response, types and degrees of cover, and more. There is also an entire section of the book dedicated to safety audits of specific locations like schools, buses, restaurants, and shopping centers. You owe it to yourself and to your children to be prepared and ready for immediate action if ever you hear the sound of gunfire fill the air. A Place to Hide is now available through all major booksellers. Quantity discounts for book clubs, schools, and churches are available through the publisher. Visit aplacetohide.org and begin your journey toward personal readiness today. That's the letter A, place, T-O, hide.org.
All right, now maybe you're saying to yourself, well, that's never going to happen to me. And I would have thought the same thing, but it actually did happen to the Everhard family. Let me tell you a quick story. My mother and my two daughters were at the mall not too long ago in Akron, several months ago, and sure enough, there was a shooting right there in the mall. Nobody was killed in this particular incident, but shots were fired in the food court. And my mother and my two teenage daughters, they all scattered in different directions. It was absolutely terrifying for them. Nobody knew what to do. The entire place was in a great panic. And thankfully, they were able to rejoin company in the parking lot a little bit later, but not without experiencing a lot of terrifying emotions. So what Christian's book does, Christian McShaffrey, is it talks about what exactly to do. Now, it's a short book, and Christian was nice enough to include my little recommendation in the front. It's a short little book, but definitely written especially for moms to think about these kinds of things. I found it very helpful for myself. Even though I'm a dude, I learned a lot from the book, and so I happily recommend it to you. What I want to do is I want to post a link to this book in the description of this video. You can grab it on Amazon, or you can get it at the publisher's website that was mentioned in the video. Amazon, for those of you who get stuff a lot from that particular seller, again, I'll post a link in the description. But you definitely want to be thinking about these things ahead of time. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching this video. I do hope this was somewhat helpful to you. I love you lots, and we will talk to you later.